Those immortal words the Prophet tells us in the Haftorah that we read on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. Kol b'rama nishma, a voice is heard on high. Nehi b'chi v'samrurim, it's a voice of tears, of bitterness, of broken downness. Rachel mivake al baneha, Rachel, the matriarch, is crying for her children. Me'ana lehinachem, she refuses to be comforted al baneha, on her children. Ki einena, because they are not with her. Rachel, the mother of the Jewish people, cries and weeps for her children because ki einenu, because they are not there anymore. This summer, when I was in Israel, I went to Rachel's tomb and I prayed, thinking of these words, these immortal words that we say every Rosh Hashanah, blaring from the Prophet, that are on the parochet, the curtain that is where Rachel is buried. And I thought of it in the past distance. I thought about the Holocaust, the pogroms, the Cossacks. Never did I think that these words would be words that I would be thinking today. Me'an alis nachem, Rachel is the mother, every single Jewish mother, who refuses to be comforted, now and always, sobbing and broken, because her children, ki einenu, because they are not here anymore. When you think of the viciousness of the savages and what they did, every time you look at a picture, and in the beginning I refused to look myself. I said, I already feel what I feel, let the world see. But then I realized that every single one of us must see with our own eyes the devastation, the cruelty, the subhuman animals and savages, and what they did. Me'ana lihi nachem, we have to be refused to be comforted. We have to be refused to be spoken to about compassion for animals, for savages, for people who dance and celebrate in the streets and give out candies when babies are pulled from their parents and beheaded, when little children are burned at stake, when children are pulled away crying from their mother into captivity. We each have to see those pictures. We each have to be Rachel. We each have to be the Jewish mother who's a voice of bechi v'samrurim, a voice of tears, of brokenness, a voice that refuses to be comforted. And not just today and not just tomorrow, because this is our moment of never again. This is our moment when we have to realize that we were complacent. When we thought that never again meant never again, we didn't think of all the vicious animals and all them that support them, even in our own country. From Bernie Sanders to AOC, to the people demonstrating at Harvard and NYU and in Australia and in London. This has to be the wake-up call for the Jewish people. Me'ana lihi nachem. Don't listen to those pleas about water in Gaza. The people that took those pipes that delivered water and used it to make missiles. The people that took money that was supposed to be for water for their people and used it to kill and butcher and savage Jews. It's the responsibility of every single one of us to be that Rachel. To see, yes, you won't sleep at night. Yes, the images will be with you. But that's what's needed at this moment. Because this is our people. These are our brothers and sisters. And it's easy to say, I feel for them, but I don't want to see. But we have to see. Because we have to be in a rage. We have to be angry. We have to be vengeful. This idea that we always thought that if we stood for everyone else's cause, Every single cause of a minority in the history of the world, the Jews have been on the forefront. And the idea that we thought that if we were this way, then others would be this way for us. And that's not why we did it, but we sure thought that that would happen. And of course, nonsense. The biggest pain is to see the way the Western world has become our elite universities. How many billions of dollars have Jews donated to these universities who won't condemn savages who murdered and butchered babies and mothers and Holocaust survivors? When are we going to wake up? Every dollar you intended to give to a university or to another cause that didn't speak up, send it to our brothers and sisters in Israel. They need it. Yesterday in the afternoon, I finally got the time. I'm on a group chat and WhatsApp group with 197 people. They're all my living uncles and aunts. Half of them are unfortunately have passed. And they're my first cousins. And I went on and I tried to reach as many as I could that I'm closer to and see how they're doing. And each one, the pain, the resilience, but then to think, one of my cousins' son was supposed to get married next week. My parents were supposed to go to the wedding. But he's now up north on the front lines to protect the Jewish people from Hezbollah. His brother, who got married last year, is on the front lines in Gaza. I spoke to one of my first cousins that actually came to visit me last year. Many of you met him in Shul. A remarkable human being. He was the second to the Attorney General in the entire Israel. A remarkable human being. I met his kids this summer. He has 3 children that are married. 2 sons and a daughter. Each one has young children. Both of his sons and his daughter, husband, have gone to the front lines, either up north or in the south. I counted a total of 37 names they asked us to pray from, just for my first cousin's kids who are on the front lines. But their determination, their faith, their unwavering commitment to understand that we have nowhere else to go and that never again is today is remarkable. It's inspiring. They're on the front lines. We're not on the front lines. We're sitting in cushy Boston in beautiful homes with nice cars. What do we have to give up? A practice? A soccer game? A movie? What are we ready to do to sacrifice for our brothers and sisters, that they should know that we are with them unequivocally? The answer is twofold. The first thing is, when we study this week Bereshit, the Torah says that God told Adam that his job is in this world is la'avda u'lishamra, to work this world and to protect it. Israel has been in the forefront of every single revolution and intelligence idea in this world, from medicine to science. We have been there la'avda, to work the sham. We also have to be the l'shamra. It's our job to protect the morality of the world and to protect the world of these animals. We have to be there to support our brothers and sisters. But to finish on a positive note, with all the pain we've seen, all the suffering we've seen, just a few stories of the power of the Jewish people that warms my heart every moment in the time of such pain. One story was the first day, on Monday, thousands of Israelis all over the world got what's called a Tzav Shemona. They got command to come back to their bases, reservists. And there was an observant man who pulled up in the terminal in JFK in El Al with a credit card that had $500,000 in it. And he bought every single person who had a Tzav Shemona a ticket to go to Israel. 250 tickets he bought himself at that moment. This is a verified story. Then we think about the remarkable and the heroic people in Israel who fought to save others. You think about Amir Tibon, and who is a reporter for Haaretz, And when it started, him and his wife, and they heard the sirens and the rockets, they ran to their safe room that every house on the south has. And once they realized, they thought usually after a few minutes it calms down, you run, you pack a few stuff and you go, but they realized that wasn't happening. They called their father, who was a retired general in Tel Aviv, an hour and a half away. And the father said, just have your 2 kids be quiet, stay there, I promise I'm coming. And the kids were nervous. And the son looks at his kids and he says, just as I believe my father, you have to believe me. And for 8 hours they waited. He took his car and he went from Tel Aviv. But every time on the way, he saw people running away from the concert. He saw injured soldiers. He gave his car. He took people. Then he called another general. But finally, after 8 hours, they came. And he saved his 2 children and his grandchildren, amongst so many others that he saved. We think about, I'm sure you saw this, and I'm reminding myself of his name, of this remarkable human being who was crying in the hospital, Yigal Singer, who was an officer, and he literally led a convoy of 25 people and saved 500 people at this concert. And when they asked him in the hospital, and you see the pictures in the video, he's crying. He says, I wish I could have saved more. I needed to save more. You think about Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv, where the restaurant owners who wanted to give all food they could to the soldiers, but then they realized that many of the soldiers are kosher, and they brought in rabbis, and they koshered their entire kitchen so they could feed everyone. There's no more right, there's no more left. There's no more secular, there's no more religious, there's no more Mizrahi, there's no more Ashkenazi, there's no more Sephardi. There's Am Echad. We realize that this is our moment, and each and every one of us has to be strong and continue to stand for our people. I pray for every single one of the prisoners. I pray for the families of the bereaved. I pray for every parent who had to send their child to the front. I think about my 37 cousins that I know of that are on the front. I think about their parents. I think about my aunt who was crying to me when she spoke to me yesterday. At 75 years old, she witnessed her mother get murdered in 1948. She lost a brother, and now she has to see her grandchildren going to the front, leaving little babies and wives. May Hashem protect every single one of them. But my friends, we will not rest, and we will not calm down until we eradicate the Amalek of today, until we eradicate Hamas from this world. God bless you. Be strong.